Hey everybody, welcome back to part 3 of my D16Y8 engine rebuild for my 1998 Honda Civic. Today's video we're going to cover tearing down the head, prepping it for a reinstall, replacing the rear main seal in the housing, and cleaning and polishing the crankshaft in preparation for it to go back in the engine. So we're starting with the head teardown, and what I'm doing is using a valve tool to compress the valve springs, remove the keepers, and remove each valve one at a time. You see the box, I've got it marked with the intake side and then the direction in which I'm pulling these out. I've got a hole punched in each one of them. We want to put the valves back in the same place since we're using the same valves and the same head, and I don't plan on going to a machine shop to have everything refitted. So we just want to simply tear it down, clean it up, replace the valve guide seals, put it back together, and get her installed. Alright, so we have all the valves out. We're going to make sure everything's nice and organized. And then we're going to start working on our old valve guide seals and getting those removed. So I'm using a pair of hose pliers. They do a pretty good job of gripping those valve guide seals and then using some leverage to pop them up and out. We're going to pull off all the, that's the intake side, and then we're going to work on our exhaust side. Pulling the exhaust side out, and they're much tighter than the intake side, so they're taking a little bit more force to get up and out. But we get them, so we're going to continue to pull those out. Then I'm going to start using my magnet, and I'm going to pull all the spring seats out next. So you're going to see me here in just a second. With my magnet, I'm pulling the seats out for the springs. Once again, I'm keeping these with the spring that they match to. Probably not as vital as other things, but components wear together, so I like to keep them together. Alright, now I'm going to start pulling these gaskets off and getting this head cleaned up. So the next few minutes you're going to see me pulling gasket off material. I'm using a razor blade. On some of them I'm using, we like to call a whiz wheel or a surface prep tool. This one's from Snap-on, I believe, or Blue Point, can't remember which one. And I'll go through and get this head all cleaned up.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon. Turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Alright, time to start lapping valves. So, got a little valve grinding tool. Didn't work too well with these valves because they're just too small. So I ended up lapping them by hand, little valve lapping compound, put them in there, spin them side to side, lift them, spin them, lift them, spin them, lift them, spin them. And I'm checking the seats to make sure that they've cut in pretty good. Alright, so I've lapped all the valves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lower bushing on for the valve spring seats, and then I'm going to install all of the valve guide seals. Okay, all the valve gate seals are done. It's time to put the valves and springs back in. Something I always do after I replace or reinstall valve keepers is I'll go through with a hammer and I'll tap all the heads of the valves and make sure the keepers don't pop out. We don't want that to happen when it's in the car. Alright, cylinder head's all done, all cleaned up, just wiping it down real good. And then I'm going to put it inside of a black plastic garbage bag just to keep it nice and lubricated and out of the elements, no dirt, nothing like that. And now I'm going to start putting in the rear main seal. So I've got the housing. I'm going to pop the old seal out, put the new seal in, make sure it's nice and seated real flush. So you see there. And then we should be all good to go. So now I'm going to micro polish the crank. Now I didn't take the crank into a machine shop and get it washed or anything like that. There's no damage on it. And this was a budget project. So I'm using a metal polish, and that is a microfiber rag that I've cut into strips. And I'm going to micro polish all of the bearing surfaces. I'm going to go through the entire crank on all the rods and mains and make sure I've got a nice polished surface. Alright, after you've done work like polishing and stuff like that, you want to clean it really good. You want to make sure you get all of the polish compound out of the oil ports in the crank. So I'm going to wash it really good with a pressure washer and some degreaser there, and make sure that we're in good shape. Alright, blew all the ports out, and there's the final product. Nice, polished journals. Looks great. It's going to work great.
Hi! I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and like the video down here. And to watch another video, click over here. Thank you, and bye.